In 2018, I attended the Wesleyan Holiness Women Clergy Conference in Estes Park, Colorado. I was a planning committee member, and my focus was solely on making sure the event happened the way we planned it. So every event, every speaker, every worship service, what was the flow, how was it supposed to go? And if you've pastored in a church, you know how that is, that you are sort of focused on the details and you aren't always there maybe to receive yourself. So I'm in the middle of this service, and at the end I knew what was going to happen. We were going to invite people up for prayer. So my mindset was make sure everything's in place so that when the people come forward for prayer, we'll be ready for them. The people are there, the pillows, everything, creating an altar were there. And so the prayer time began, and suddenly God said, stop focusing on whether it's going right and focus on the women who are going forward. And so I just stopped and I saw women moving to the altar, women who were senior pastors of churches, women who were in denominational leadership, women who were trying to figure out what their calling to ministry even was, ministerial students, university students. I saw all these women headed toward the altar. And there was one young lady who went and knelt at the altar. I didn't know her. And God just said, I need you to go up and pray with her. And I need you to pray and let her know that I am pleased with her. And that's the word I got from God. Go forward and say, God is pleased with you. I didn't know what it was in regards to, just because she went up front or why. So I moved forward, I knelt down beside her, and I began to pray aloud. And I prayed and told her that God was pleased with her. When the prayer was over, she lifted her face with tears streaming down her cheeks and told me that that was what she needed to hear. When the service was over, I went to speak to her and the group of women that she was there with. And it turned out she was there with the Hispanic district of the Pacific Southwest. And she had been feeling a tug, a call from God to ministry. But she also came from a family that was not supportive. And she was struggling with, do I defy my family and follow the call of God? Do I move in this direction that I feel like he's supposedly calling me in, but I'm not sure? And as a leap of faith, she came to that conference, feeling that if she didn't, she might be outside of the will of God. And in that time, when God told me to go forward and say, God is pleased with you, it was a verification of her calling, that God said, go to this conference, and she went, and he was pleased. 2 years later, I was at the E2020 WHWC conference in North Carolina. And she sought me out, and she found me because she wanted to let me know what she was doing in service to her call in California. And I was so excited to see her and to know that she had followed that calling, and she was pursuing ordained ministry, and she was working truly with the least of these in her ministry there in California. So I tell you this story. It's her story, and it's my story, because there are women who are discerning their call, who are trying to better understand what God is calling them to, and they need to be at the Wesleyan Holiness Women Clergy Conference in Texas in March of 2022. Women need other women to come alongside them. It doesn't have to be a long-term mentoring relationship. It might be a prayer at one time in their decision-making process. It may be a long-term mentoring relationship, but they will find that at the conference and through connections that they meet through Wesleyan Holiness Women Clergy. So if you know a woman who's trying to discern her call, who's deciding the next step, who's flourishing in their ministry and knows where they're headed and where God has called them to be, invite. This is the opportunity for us all to speak into the lives of women clergy and to show them that God is pleased with them.